It's Endurance Cup time to begin February, and as we begin the first of 3 races that the drivers and teams have been waiting in anticipation for all year, and we welcome to the first of those 3 tracks. To everybody out there watching on the iRacing Esports Network, this is Mount Panorama, located in Bathurst. It's the 5th round for Season 10 of the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Series, with all coverage on Apex Racing TV, streaming live on that iRacing Esports Network. Now, there are the track details up on screen. Our race is about to begin here with Jonathan Simon in the commentary booth, Daniel Lead alongside me, Scott Newton behind the scenes in production, and Daniel, of course, we've had a lot of technical issues to begin this race. Race Control's decided that they're going to shorten this race format from 90 minutes to 45, and I think that's a good way to do it. You know, everybody's coming into a late night here in Australia, and it's a very classy way by Race Control to handle the issues.
Yeah, good evening, Jonathan, and to all the viewers tuning in. Yeah, unfortunately, a few little minor issues and setbacks that did hinder going the full 90-minute distance, but great work by Race Control to get those sorted and get the race underway, and we're about to go through the final corners to start this one off.
So it will be a sprint format as usual. Here we're about to begin the race. It's been chaotic, and I've been lost for words at the beginning here. I see 4 wide already on the run down to the first corner here at Mount Panorama, the same circuit that just hosted the Bathurst 12-hour today. 1 BMW off out the side of the racetrack. There's about 6 BMWs in the background, so it's a little bit difficult to see who is who, but the leader so far is Braden Nash. That Ford is the ever-quick Dominic Ferraris, one of the quickest Aussies in sim racing. Championship leader Aidan Luthwaite, though, in a battle with Matt Morris heading into the end of the mountain straight.
Yeah, really solid getaway from all drivers concerned. No major issue there. Really looking forward to see what Dominic can do in this Ford. He hasn't been in the series much this season, but looking at some of the qualifying times that he was putting in earlier on, he's in the low 158, so very, very quick out there tonight.
Yeah, this is Jordan Cullis now in the 12th position. So a lot of position changes as they headed to Griffin's Bend there. It was quite chaotic, and now through the middle part of the lap here. Saw a bizarre accident, didn't we, in the Bathurst 12-hour during qualifying. Saw a car rolling on its roof after clipping the wall. A little bit more friendly as iRacing, though. Yeah,
a little bit more friendly. I mean, we saw multiple crazy incidents there, not from going from kangaroos to cars over on their roofs, and some up on the Armco barriers there. So really interesting scenes. Looks like everyone, no issues there. They've all got away with it. But yeah, so it was a fantastic race, must be said, for the 12 hours. I think we're going to be equally just as into it tonight.
Yep, and now on to Conrod Straight, the famous Conrod Straight. I'm going to rise up here through Bathurst. There's about 173 meters of elevation change around Mount Panorama. You'll notice a lot of it through the mountain. Now they head through the chase here for the first time. Now it'll be a sprint format like we said, so only 1 pit stop required for the drivers. They cannot take it until the beginning of their local 3rd lap. So don't expect anyone now to pit. That is not going to be their compulsory stop. But for Braden Nash, he maintains his lead ahead of Ferraris. 1 driver in the pit lane there. That's very early. It looked like to me a Mach 1 Esports car. Was that Lee Vandenberg?
Yeah, Lee Vandenberg in the lane. Actually, Scott Gamble's in there also. Steve Bartholomew. So quite a few cars jumping to the lane very early on, which is not really what we would have intended to see. So there's potential for some damage there. But hopefully, if they're able to get back underway as quick as possible, that shouldn't really hinder them too much being the early part of this race.
Now, it was a chaotic start, Daniel, because maybe they had a few penalties to deal with, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, well, it could possibly be. We'll have to duck back into the rulebook and just double check that, but I didn't hear anything from Race Control, but so that's being said, we will double check just to make sure of that. But it doesn't look like they've dropped too far down the order. Lee Vandenberg on his return down into the 23rd spot, so not too far behind our leaders, only 11-second gap from his position all the way up to the leader, so plenty of time for him to come through in this 45-minute run.
And as you can see at the top right-hand side of the screen, 2 sponsors for this season. Simfinity has come on board for the Endurance Cup. Abruzzi Racewear is there for the entire series, of course. And don't forget RMS, the race management service at rms55.com.au. Check out those 3 partners of the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Series, one of the rising stars of motor racing series in the virtual world. This is Alex Cord on board.
Yeah, around that car really wide. Doesn't make contact on that outside wall. He's got Matt Morris, you can see in that green Ferrari ahead of him, who's in turn working on the back of Justin Ruggius. So a really strong fight for those guys. Nathan Happett's right behind. The BMWs maybe just struggling a little bit for top-end speed at this point, but we're in for a really solid run down here into the chase.
A solid pass there by Matt Morris around Justin Ruggia. The Porsche of Ruggia falling back to 5th after that. That was a brave move around the chase. I think we've all tried to attempt that in the past, Daniel, but not many people pull it off as cleanly as that.
Well, no, and it takes a bit of give and take from both parties concerned. Obviously, you want to try and get those moves lined up as early as possible, which Matt was able to do, but Ruggia now will hunt down the back of that green Ferrari, and he'll be really keen to redress that position.
Now on the run through, there's a bit of contact through Hull Corner there, turn 1 in the background. Saw a couple of cars. You can see the tracks coming up the racetrack. There's a Ferrari. Is that Paul Wood there stricken in the Ferrari? Now here's a replay through turn 1. Paul Wood's turned in. Now would you put that on Paul Wood? It's a tough angle to judge, but you'd have to say the outside car may have possibly been at fault there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a hard one. I'm not too sure. I think Paul was probably holding the line there, so potentially a little bit optimistic move from the BMW going up the inside there, but we'll leave that for race control. They'll come back obviously and double check. We are seeing the race control come up, the 398, no further action for lap 3 turn 1 net code as a result of that one, so that will be all back up. That was actually against Paul Wood, so that's good news for him. He'll be able to get back underway, but right up the front though, Braden Nash, Dominic Ferraris really starting to get on with their fight now.
Yeah, have a look at this here. A bit of contact as well. Both leaders are turned around. That's going to block the track. Everybody's involved now. This is a big one. Braden Nash is going to get underway. That is one of the most bizarre incidents I've ever seen in sim racing history. The track is blocked.
Yeah, it's a crazy move there. Just a little unsighted there for Ferraris going down. Just caught that back edge of Nash, which sent both cars around. So it looks like we've got most of the track blocked back out of the elbow there. Looks like a lot of guys starting to get back underway, but yeah, race control, a lot of work to do here.
Goodness me, safety car deployed. And, I mean, we'll look at a replay soon enough for sure. These are the drivers that are going to take their compulsory stop and repair a lot of damage. Ruggia has been promoted to 2nd somehow. Now, where is Ferraris, though? That's the question. Is Ferraris out of the race here? I don't even see him in our top 20.
No, I'm not seeing Ferraris tracking at the moment, actually down in 24th position. So he's a long way down the lane and just working his way down through the chase at the moment.
Well, here's a replay of something that's happened. This is Michael Whiting. Goodness me. Do you think race control was on the radio to every driver just warning them, hey, when you head to Forest Elbow, there's no room to make it past the racetrack. Here's the replay of the incident for the lead.
Yeah, just watching, see a very defensive move there from Nash. Closes that door off a lot, which is ultimately going to compromise the outside line there. Ferraris a lot more speed mid-corner, and that contact just enough to send both cars going around at the end. And
do you think the Ford of Ferraris, does the Ford carry a bit more mid-corner speed? Has that not helped his cause in that incident?
Yes and no. Obviously, with Nash going as defensive as he did, he would have had to slow that car down a lot to get the mid-corner turn and the nose into it, which ultimately, when Ferraris is coming through, probably not really kept an eye on. As we see some spinners in the background chasing up onto the back of the safety car there, so that's not a great look. That would have been just a little bit of unsightedness on his part, and as a result, we've seen the ending picture there.
Oh man, this is by far the most bizarre hour I've had in sim racing in quite some time. We've had some broadcast server issues, of course, out of our control. The race formats had to be shortened due to the server issues, and now the track blocked and cars losing it on the pace lap. Everyone's got to get it together. In the moment, though, Adrian Vlock leads this race for Fordzilla, one of the most striking names I've seen in quite some time in the world of motorsport. But the Ford there of Vlock will lead the field away. And if you look at the left-hand side of the screen, Daniel, that is the most collection of BMWs I've ever seen in this series.
Well, yeah, we've noticed it a lot over the last few races. BMW definitely been the preferred car. And for those not familiar with the series, once the drivers select their car nomination, they're locked in for the course of the season. So we have seen BMW very, very strong. I think a lot of work has been done behind the scenes by series organisers to try and just make sure the BOP of all four manufacturers out there, the Ferrari, the Porsche, BMW and Ford all line up just as good as they can. Obviously, a lot of different philosophies in how these cars are built, but they've done a fantastic job. And we had the quick times being set earlier on by Dominic Ferraris. He's unfortunately now going to be a little further down, but to see another Ford in the hand of Adrian Volk up leading this as a result of that is only a good thing.
Now, I've seen some bizarre incidents in my time. Have you ever seen anything like that at this corner, Forest Elbow, before?
Yes. It was quite a few seasons ago in another league, an endurance championship, and we saw very similar things, but it was not all GT cars involved in it. It was a lot of mix of multi-class stuff, which was the result. But yeah, a little unfortunate. They got it resolved, similar to what we're seeing now, but I think that's probably one of the weirdest starts that we've seen for a little while.
Now, we're expecting the pace car's lights to stop flashing. If we do another lap under pace car, that's going to be, what, 3-4 minutes, isn't it, Daniel? It's going to be quite some time. So a bit difficult to hear what race control is discussing in the background, but we're going to hope that this race gets underway shortly. It doesn't look like it, though, as we come towards the end of the lap.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye. Normally with the safety car here, obviously being one of the GT3 or GTE cars, they'll flash the lights while they're going around to simulate the yellow flashing lights we traditionally see. They'll give a word, and that will end probably about now, and then we'll see Volk get the lead of this race. But I think at the moment the potential for maybe one more lap, we'll just keep an eye as to see whether that pace car does pull in this time by, and it looks like they're going to go around at least the one more time now.
Yeah, that's one car diving into the pit lane. Martin Crisp, it looks like. That's Crisp. In the Pulse Racing Team car. Abruptly takes the lead and then loses it straight away as they head into the pit lane. A few seasons ago in iRacing actually had to bring that pit lane entry a little bit more forward, because you could actually set your fastest final sector by entering the pit lane. So people started to abuse that a little bit, but iRacing clamped down on that, and unfortunately you can't do that anymore.
Well, that's new to me. I didn't realise that was a thing, but yeah, no, look, good to see that if those exploits are being taken, that they're utilising that and correcting the issues. So I think it makes it a lot more fair for everyone out there trying to set a competitive lap if everyone's on the same page, which in a lot of these you would intend that they would already be doing. As a result, Rougier going around, still sitting there in the third. So he's up 7 spots, biggest movers and shakers so far. Adrian Volk, the big winner there, up to 15 spots. A couple of guys dropping well down. Ferraris now, after his contact with Nash, finds himself down in the 18th position. Aiden Litherwaite has dropped down 25 spots. He was running third, now down in the 28th. So some really big penalties there, or issues for some guys as a result of that contact.
Yeah, Litherwaite did lead the championship, don't forget. So that's going to hamper his chances. No Mia Ott again this round. Mia Ott's missed a couple of rounds already. And that's going to hamper Mia's chances, of course, who looked like the strongest driver in those opening few races to begin 2020 for the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Series. That's for Season 10. Now, Rougier, of course, that we're watching on screen, he's in one of the few Porsches out there in the field. He's raced Super 2, a lot of experience there. Jumped in the supercar for the first time this year. It'll be a nice victory for him in the sim racing world here today. Do you think he's in the best position with Braden Nash's damage? And, of course, Adrian Block has yet to enter the pit lane.
Look, he's certainly setting himself up for a really good run. And I think he'll have his hands full with Matt Morris behind in that green Ferrari. We saw Matt prior to that incident there get the pass down pretty well successfully down in through the chase. So we know the Ferrari's got pretty good straight line speed, but I think the Porsche, if in the hands of Rougier particularly, can get it working well over the top of the mountain, it's going to be very, very tough competitor to get past.
Well, here they go. They're about to begin the racing action yet again. Matt Morris is pretty hungry, don't forget. Morris driving that Ferrari this year. There he is on screen. That VMMR car, the Velocity Motorsport Magazine racing car. Morris is ever quick as a sim racer as well. There's a lot of, the talent just seems to increase each round. We get some better talent round after round. It makes this series ever tougher. And we get a lot of participants. This race split yet again, over 70 drivers. We've had to have 2 splits. And if we didn't, we could have possibly had a 70-car roadblock heading into Forest Elbow. Thankfully not, though. It's Adrian Block who's going to lead the field away. He won't lead for that much longer, I don't expect. He's got to make his mandatory pit stop. This race switched to the sprint format. So if you're wondering what the sprint format is, it's one compulsory pit stop, like we said. Almost the entire field has made it, except for Adrian Vlock. But the Ford driver, now number 330, will lead the field away here. Now, Scott Newton behind the scenes, our producer, has been discussing fuel saving. These cars will be in maximum fuel saving mode for the rest of the race to get them to the checkered flag. We begin racing action yet again. The green flag waves. It's Braden Nash who's going to attack Mr. Vlock up the inside. And, I mean, you couldn't separate the two only by a matter of inches. Now 3 wide for the leaders. Ruggiero searches for the attack. Who's going to lead out here on the mountain straight?
Yeah, I think Ruggiero probably going to have to sit back and let Nash go through here. Nash with a really strong move into turn 1. But Ruggiero hanging tough. I think he'll actually get this move completed against Vlock, which he does on the run up the hill. So really strong move there in that Porsche.
Yeah, Ruggiero slots in behind in second. It's Morris who's now trapped behind the Ford of Vlock. He goes for the inside into the cutting. A lot of camber there. The inside is actually the quickest way around the cutting. And now to the outside. Contact between the two. This could cause another roadblock. Vlock's almost over the fence. And it has caused chaos. Morris is on his roof. Drivers are going to take it easy through here. There's a lot of, there's drivers coming in at a rate of knots into the middle sector. This could trigger another safety car.
Yeah, and just to your word there, safety car is out. It's a really tough spot there. You come into it very blind. So once those two cars got together, Morris and Vlock, it was really hard for anyone coming further up to see what was going on. Some good avoidance by a few drivers. We saw Lee Vandenberg managing to squeak through. Dave Clements likewise in the Mach 1 Ford getting through that as well. So a few guys getting on the anchors early enough, but yeah, a little bit chaotic again. But you know what they say, safety cars breed safety cars, and here we are, second one for the night.
I mean, come on, guys. You know, need a bit of a better showing than that, of course. For a series that's very well, I mean, the racing standards in this series are some of the best I've seen in iRacing. So this is far from what we see in the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT series. You get this in real world motorsport, don't you, sometimes, Daniel? You get this chaotic race every now and then. And you know what? It's always a little bit more entertaining for us at home, but not so much watching many pace car laps around, and not so much with the drivers, of course, sitting in the cockpit. This will help fuel saving, though, of course, too.
Well, yeah, I mean, we did touch on that briefly, that the guys are going to have to save a lot. So ultimately, pace laps are going to help get them through, as Dominic Ferraris is in the lane for another stop as well. But this will ultimately help them get these cars home. Be still interesting to see, though, are they able to turn the fuel up just a touch more, or will they have to continue saving a whole heap to get through? Obviously, we are 17 minutes into this one. Still plenty more racing on the clock, but yeah, the fuel's still going to be a pretty touchy issue, I think.
Of course, series partner. Don't forget to visit Abruzzi Raceware at abruzzi.com.au. And of course, Daniel, if you yourself have some sim racing gloves or equipment from Abruzzi, it'll make your sim racing much more comfortable during these pace car periods.
Yeah, gear's fantastic. They put out, I'm certainly eyeing off a pair of gloves and some shoes there, especially for any of the guys out there with some of the Alcantara wheels that are out there, or especially the new load cell and hydraulic-based pedals. Always good to be able to protect those feet a bit more.
And for the Endurance Cup, we introduced Simfinity. They've come on board as partners for the 3 endurance rounds. Now, here's a replay of the incident. Now, of course, I don't think Morris had any room there, did he? As we watch a brilliant slow-mo cam produced by Scott Newton behind the scenes. He almost went over the fence. He's almost in the trees.
Yeah, very reminiscent of the Lamborghini through qualifying yesterday for the 12-hour, getting up across the wall there. Morris with a big spin afterwards, a lot of heavy contact. But yeah, I don't think Morris really had much to go. He was right up against the wall, pressed pretty hard, and ultimately 2 cars into that spot, and as we see, don't go very well.
Well, whoever runs that iRacing Out of Context Twitter account, you got a few clips from this race to post for sure. I'm looking forward to him. And if you do, I'll try and give him a retweet. But this was just, that was a bizarre incident for sure. Morris really had nowhere to go. As we see the brilliant sight over the mountain. The safety car is going to come in this lap. Now, if you've ever been to Mount Panorama, Daniel, and you're here at this portion of the racetrack, That is such a beautiful view through the as you look down from the mountain.
Yeah, it's a surefire place to be. I love going up there just to see that. And you know, the look as you go off Skyline, probably the best in the motorsport world as far as I'm concerned. I haven't really been anywhere else outside the Aussie to go see it. But no, I think it's fantastic. One key little thing that a lot of these guys will probably be doing to get those cars down, clutch in, save that little extra fuel, use the gravity to pull these cars down the hill, which is going to help them in the long run. But yeah, I love looking off the top of Skyline to watch just how tricky it is to get these cars down through here.
Well, that pace car is going to pull in. There it is, screaming away. And Ryan Kolstad and Race Control have given the A-OK to our field of our field of drivers coming through the field. Do you like that one, Daniel? There's a million BMWs out there.
A lot of BMWs, but at the pointy end too, sorry, we've got that low Porsche of Justin Ruggier in there. So as a sea of BMWs, 2 Porsches still sitting in that top 10.
Yeah, well, here they go. Brandon Nash. Oh, he takes off early. Good part of the racetrack to take off from. I think the pace car is going to be in the lane by now, so he should be okay. Green flag yet again. 25 minutes to go here from Mount Panorama. Nash on 2 wheels through the final corner with a screaming getaway.
Yeah, really good jump from him there. See Ruggier come under a little bit of an attack from Alex Corton at DPR BMW. Everyone else single file through the start-finish line, which is good to see. So hopefully we will get lap number 8 underway relatively comfortably.
Martin Crisp, of course, with an early pit stop. He's made 1, and I'm not sure if that will count. So we'll keep an eye on Martin Crisp's race. But here he heads through the field in P23 on the attack here. On Michael Whiting ahead. This is Lee Vandenberg alongside that. I can't quite see who that is. Is that Brendan Gregory, I think, the privateer. So 2 BMWs in a scrap here as they head through the cutting. Brilliant pass there by Vandenberg, who's up in the top 5 in the championship as well heading into this round. So a much cleaner green flag run to begin this stint. We're hoping it's going to stay green. Nash still leading from Ruggier by 0.8 of a second. Let's keep an eye on that gap, of course, too, because we know Nash has immense pace.
Yeah, Nash still holding his own across the top. I think Ruggier just closing in a fraction up there, but through the midfield, everyone else getting along quite well. Scott Gamble charging down through the dipper. He's got Justin Wallace right behind him there for the Race on Oz Porsche. BMW gets a little bit of an advantage coming out of that corner, which I'm really surprised at, and again on the exit of the elbow. So will be interesting to see now. The Porsche going to have a really good tow here down Conrod Straight. Are we expecting a move down into the chase, do you think?
Let's find out. Wallace looking. Goes for it into the chase. They're going to be alongside each other, and there's no contact. Good racing so far between Gamble and Wallace. But the Porsche is going to have to concede this time. The Race on Oz driver, though, trying to do all he can. Now, a bit of room given by Gamble there, bit of respect heading into Murray's corner. And that's going to allow someone else in the battle. Is that John Halloran in the SF Esports racing car also in the scrap? Here up the inside is John O'Halloran.
Yeah, really solid run there from John. Was able to set that run up coming through the chase there and gets himself in a pretty good position. I don't think he's going to have the legs to get around Justin Wallace around the outside up the cutting here. I think Wallace will still maintain this position, but great to see him getting into that. And just behind Lee Vandenberg and Michael Spithill as well, having a little bit of a scrap behind these two also on their run up the hill.
Now through the cutting is Halloran. He remains behind Wallace this time round. Kept him honest though, didn't he, as they head through the middle part of the lap. Now here's Joshua Burden, of course, in the Fusion Sim Racing car. He's all over the rear end of Pearson. This is a battle for P5. They're coming close here. Pearson and Burden. See him on screen in a moment. There they are. And Burden, goodness me, they're close here, heading into the dipper. And through Skyline earlier. And then through the infamous incident that we had earlier in this race at Forest Elbow. Is he going to look up the inside? The door was open for Burden, but I think he's learnt all too much from the Nash Ferrari. The the Nash incident earlier.
Yeah, good, just holding the line there. He's going to have a fantastic run off the back of Neil Pearson. You see him just dive to the inside, and the legs on the BMW just about out of puff. You see all red lights eliminated across that dash, and a little bit of contact for both drivers as they run down into the chase.
Good stuff there by Burden. What about Michael Yip in the Eclipse Sim Sports cars? He's in 7th. Yip's in yet another BMW. Ferraris is officially out of the race, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. Just letting you know, Dominic Ferraris, unfortunately for him, it's not quite what we see from Dominic. He's ever so quick. But, of course, one Dominic out of the race. Another will be hoping to win the Australian Open final. That's currently taking place. So, good luck to him. Ruggia, though, demoted to 3rd. That's Alex Court up in a 2nd.
Yeah, good run from Court here. I'm surprised to see him get through on Ruggia just as easy as he did. Although we say as easy as he did, he's still got 20 minutes left on the clock. Plenty of time for Ruggia to come back, but Ruggia now got a mirror full of Nathan Happets in that Fusion Sim Racing BMW right behind. So starting to struggle a little bit in the Porsche there, but knowing the caliber of Ruggia, he should be able to push his way back up.
Let's go, Ruggia. They're allowing Nash to pull away. I doubted that Nash's ability in this race just due to the damage. He's got the pace. I think he's proved me wrong with that. He looks comfortable in the lead so far. Ruggia is really pushing right now. Got a lot of experience here, Justin Ruggia, in the real world. Do you think that will help? Any real world experience? Do you think it matters in the world of sim racing?
Many years ago, I would have said yes, but having seen the advancements that we've seen with sims like iRacing and a few others out there, and the quality of the hardware that everyone's using, not as much. Everyone pretty much on a very level playing field. We do have also safety car deployed again for another stop, but I mean, the probably interesting thing when we look at lap times from obviously professional like Ruggia and a sim racer in the form of Nash, there's about a second difference in outright best pace at the moment. So not a big issue whether you're professional or sim racer, I don't think.
Well, the safety car again for the 3rd time this race. That's the most we've ever seen in the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT series. And there could have been an incident down the back of the pack, because as soon as the safety car was deployed, our timing screen went bizarre here behind the scenes from P20 and below. So it could have been something. Well, here's a replay on time. Scott Newton behind the scenes is on it. This is Shane Best. Let's have a look. Oh, don't tell me the track's going to be blocked again for the 3rd time. Oh, man. I mean, you couldn't script that. Oh, no. Come on, guys. It's so bizarre.
Yeah, it's a hard move to get in there. We did see it happen in the real world today. Shane Van Gisbergen in the 888 Mercedes getting a couple of passes done up in that area, but not one ideally where we go. We've seen plenty of bad opportunities. Probably the most notable of that, the Ambrose Murphy incident from I think 2005 in the V8s, where those guys had contact. But yeah, it's not the best place to be trying a move.
Yeah, unfortunately, like we said, this does happen in the real world. It's nothing new to the world of sim racing, but it just happened 3 times in one race I've never seen. So there you go. This race is going to be underway maybe this lap, maybe next. We'll keep you updated on that, but that's going to shuffle the field quite a bit. Let's keep everybody updated on the order. It's still Nash from Court from Ruggia. That's your top 3. Nathan Huppert's into 4th, and Joshua Burden rounds the top 5. Then we have Pearson, Michael Yip, Stephen Bartholomew, who you're watching on screen in the Redback Racing BMW, and then Scott Gamble and Justin Wallace round out the top 10. Scott Gamble is a driver, Daniel, who's up 16 positions in this race.
Yeah, really strong run from him. I was keeping on his earlier stream that he had out through practice and qualifying, and he was finding some really good pace in that car. A little slower than what we were seeing from the likes of Ferraris, but very, very competitive lap times all around. So I would expect that he will come through this field like he normally does and at least hold on to that top 10, if not move slightly further towards the top 5.
So we'll see how he goes for sure. And down the rest of the top 10. Oh, excuse me, below the top 10, it's Aaron Specchio 12th and Bruce Ross in 14th. Those are 2 drivers up more than 20 positions, the most in this race. Ross up 22, Aaron Specchio up 21. Both the Pulse Racing Team drivers, not qualifying the best, but they've made amends for it with their race pace as the safety car is going to come in this lap.
Yeah, both those drivers doing a really solid effort, obviously utilising the relative screens to get through most of those issues, and I guess we're seeing the results of that there, able to climb their way well up the field. A little further down, we've got Matt Morris, just a couple of cars ahead of Ryan Betty's, who we're following on at the moment. We saw him getting not only a really good run on Rugia very early on, unfortunately in some contact as well with Adrian Volt, for those who might have missed the earlier start, which actually brought out safety car number 2. He's working his way back up, currently sitting in the 19th spot, so a lot of room for him to go back further up this field.
Well, Braden Nash, this is deja vu now for the young man, but he'll lead the field away for what will hopefully be the final time in this race that will restart. 15 minutes will be remaining, and he kicks off the end of the pace car period at the same spot he did last time. So quite predictable, but it's caught Alex caught out just by a touch here. He leads by about half a second here on the relative times as they cross the line. Nash will scream into Hell Corner yet another time. Caught from Ruggio will remain second and third. How about that from Mr. Joshua Burden on the defensive here as Neil Pearson has a good run, it has to be said here, coming out of Hell Corner and onto the mountain straight.
Yeah, good run from Pearson, really starting to challenge a little further back as well. Steve Bartholomew having a run at Justin Wallace. Lee Vandenberg tucking in behind this little battle as well, so potentially for Vandenberg to go up a couple of spots here as a result. He just thinks about tucking that nose in, pulls out at the last minute. Right behind him, Aaron Specchio in the Porsche Pulse Racing, actually getting a move done on Vandenberg around the outside. That's a big run, and a little bit of car contact as well.
I'm not sure if he touched the wall as well, Mr. Specchio. It was right on beyond the white lines there. This is where the incident occurred between Adrian Block and Matt Morris. They'll be okay now. They'll continue. And now through past Great, and then on towards the rest of the lap. Solomon Park, McPhillamy coming up as well. Now towards Skyline. That's one Mach 1 Esports car. It looked like Lee Vandenberg drifting off there at the outside of McPhillamy, but keeps it together heading into Skyline.
Yeah, it's a really wild ride. We saw many cars go off there. Probably Tanner, the big one, with the spin running through Skyline today, so able to get back underway. Matt Morris down the inside, BJ Kennedy gets that move done. Just enough room for both drivers, but Kennedy going to come back at him. There's
no room, is there, Morris? Oh, he's not getting any less cautious after his incident with Mr. Block earlier on in the race. Adrian Block in the Ford Zilla car is a few laps down after that incident. How about Morris around the outside, though? The Velocity Motorsport Magazine racing car. And he's up into 18th with that brilliant move.
Yeah, strong run. That's a good spot for him. There's a couple of good passes there. The last one being Justin Rugia. Back up front, Scott Gamble, Justin Wallace and Steve Bartholomew starting to mix it up again as we go 3 wide almost into 1. That's not what you want to be seeing.
Yeah, and luckily they all form up here as Gamble leads this train away. As you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, he's 3 seconds down from the lead pack. And you have the rest of the pack, basically your peloton. But they're not catching those leaders anytime soon. It looks like a breakaway, doesn't it? Much like you road cycling fans who watch, this is like a late breakaway in the race. It doesn't look like that peloton's going to keep in touch.
No, it's starting to fall down a little bit. I think while we consider seeing how much fighting is going on with this little pack, they are going to continue to drop a bit more time. I am surprised to see at the front too, Braden Nash not quite extending the gap that he was able to do over Rugia now that Alex Court is behind him. So those top 3 are hanging together pretty tight now after this final restart.
Very close here. Now through McPhillamy. Oh, again, that's another car off. That would look like Stephen Bartholomew almost off the racetrack. It's much more difficult than it looks here, doesn't it? From the TV cameras, it looks easy, but from on board, that's a proper corner, isn't it?
Yeah, you come in with a lot of pace. I know when we were watching today, a lot of the GT3 guys going 5th gear through there. These cars, similar downforce level to what you expect out of those, so guys pushing that 4th or 5th gear range to get the most out of these cars through it.
How about this? Nathan Huppert's is at the back of this train between Rugia, Burden, and then Nathan Huppert's himself. Now, it's a bit disappointing to see Rugia not promote himself in a second after the race began. Thought Ruggier had a bit more pace than this, but who do you think's in the advantage here, the BMWs or the Porsches at this racetrack?
Look, I certainly think the BMW got a lot more advantage, definitely in the straight line and a little bit more low down, so able to punch out of those slower corners a bit better. It's a little interesting to see if we've got another car in the background gone around. That was BJ Kennedy getting back underway in the final corner there. But no, the BMW is certainly getting on with the business.
Yep, so Mr. Kennedy's down a few positions after that. BJ Kennedy had a good race nevertheless before that. Steady race, has to be said. He's been caught up in a couple of those roadblocks, so it hasn't helped him at all as we watch Matt Morris there at the bottom of the screen lead this pack away now. So coming towards the end of the race, pit stops aren't an issue, Daniel. Fuel, I don't think is going to be an issue due to the 3 safety car periods. So is it all down to the driver now? Is it down to commitment? Is it down to your overtaking moves?
Yeah, I think you pretty well touched on all 3 of those, driver commitment and where you want to set up a move to go through. I mean, it's all going to be key. 10 minutes left on the clock. These guys are really going to have to start working to see where they can get in and exploit those weaknesses of the guys in front. Ruggier, though, really coming under a lot of fire right now from Josh Burden, and Burden's teammate Nathan Habbett's right behind them for the Fusion Sim Racing team. So they're really looking to start applying the blowtorch to the back of Ruggier's Porsche.
Yeah, good test of Ruggier's racecraft here, the OSR driver. Got 2 Fusion Sim Racing cars to defend from. Here's Joshua Burden to the inside. This will be a candy from a baby move. The question is whether or not Nathan Huppert's can do the same. And Ruggier's going to be, well, he's going to fight back. The grit from Justin Ruggier remains in third and keeps that position. Brilliant defensive driving.
Yeah, really solid move. Great placement of that car just to hold it up the inside. Drops back onto the traditional racing line through the final corner. But yeah, these guys are going to really set up and run. Probably for the next 5 laps, I think this will be the story that we'll be keeping an eye on.
Ruggier again into turn 1. Looks too easy, doesn't it? And well, he's still going to have to defend from these 2 as they head on to the mountain straight yet another time. 15 laps around Mount Panorama so far, and we've had 3 pace car periods. This is Braden Nash in the lead, though. He's still in sight, and up the inside goes Joshua Burden. I'm not sure if he sealed the move, but his teammate Nathan Huppert's will be there ready to go if he hasn't. He has. That's a brilliant move by Burden. Finally in third. Ruggier, I don't think he's got any chance to fight back here through the mountain. He has a peak, but he'll remain behind for the moment through Quarry. And then through Great they go. I think that's it for Ruggier. He's going to have to get it done here on the Conrod Straight. Yeah,
I almost thought he had a little bit of a glance at the wall there just before they dropped over Skyline, so maybe a little bit of damage there, but certainly pushing very, very hard. You can just see how much of a gain Burden's able to get on the run down through Skyline and the Dipper, and that he's extended the gap now to just over half a second, so only a fistful of corners and he's been able to gain a really good advantage.
Oh, and that looked close, didn't it, with Nathan Huppert? Looked like he was close to the wall for sure. Huppert started this race in 5th. Oh, and that's Wallace into the wall. Justin Wallace falling down the order rapidly. Here's a replay of what's happened to the Race on Oz Harvey Blay Auto Glass car. And I think he's lost that all on his own.
Yeah, it was all on his own. I think he also caught the
Stephen Bartholomew.
Steve Bartholomew, yeah, as you say, and that's unfortunate for both those 2 cars.
Yeah, Bartholomew was in that Redback racing car, and he unfortunately got caught up in it. Looked like he had some terminal suspension damage, but at the end of the day, an incident that Morris didn't need. Neither did Bartholomew, who enters the pit lane with a late pit stop too. That damage is so bad, he's trying to service the car with 5 minutes, or just over 5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see whether he's able to get back out. We'll keep an eye on the stationary time for both those drivers just to see how they go. Michael Spithill up on screen at the moment. He's got a little bit of a mirror full. Actually, he's got all of Pat Gallo right in front of him, and Bruce Ross likewise a couple of cars up. So they're fighting down over the 16th, 17th to 18th position, sorry. And these 3 very, very close together as far as outright pace goes.
This looks good. Have a look at this here through Griffin's Bend. Oh, man, it just gets closer and closer as the drivers edge closer and closer to the cameras. Pat Gallo in the 777 car. Racing under the Malta flag. Is Pat Gallo Aussie, though?
Certainly was, but we'll double check that post-race just to double check. But yeah, I was under the impression he was, so we'll double check it.
Yeah, he's trying to represent the heritage. A lot of Maltese Australians out there for sure. I know that. As Gallo, oh goodness me! One car abruptly smacked into the barriers there.
Yeah, it was Aiden Litherwaite with a really strong glance against the wall.
Yeah, he's in that. What is that? Like a Spider-Man livery of the RSR Esports car. It looks like Spider-Man driving a GT car as they come through the bottom of the mountain here. Luthwaite looks unscathed as we ride on board with the RSR Esports driver now. He's going to aim to maximize the draft here on the straight. Now, in iRacing, what's the effect like, Daniel? When you have 4 cars ahead, is it more of an increased effect when it comes to slipstream, or is it simulated a little bit differently?
No, simulated a little differently. You do get obviously a bit of an increase with 2 cars ahead, although we're just seeing here the BMW is still able to gap that Ferrari, so that little bit of damage from the wall hit certainly not helping me. Closes right up though under brakes on the back of Bruce Ross. So the braking performance still right there, just lacking that little bit of top end speed.
Oh man, Nathan Luthwaite. Not sure how he got that car stopped in time. Now what's happening here? He's on the defensive. That's Jordan Cullis. The private... No, excuse me. That's not Jordan Cullis. Jordan Cullis is behind. We saw David Miller. That's 2 cars trying to attack here. And whilst this is taking place, it looks like... Now, on the timing screens, it said Josh Burden was out of the race. He must have had a sort of net issue there. He's back in. So no drama there for the moment. But we ride on board with Luthwaite here, who will be looking to defend yet again. Now, as Huppert's dropped down the order as well. Look at that on the left-hand side of the screen.
Yeah, Nathan falling well down the order, so I'm not sure whether there's been some damage there. As we see the BMW of Collis getting in the back of Luthwaite, but interesting to look at the lap times last time by. Luthwaite with that damage and hitting the wall did a 2:02 comparative to Miller behind him, a 2-minute flat.
And there is Nathan Hupperts. He's out of the race. He's pulled it. Now that's definitely gonna get a warning, because remember there is a no escape rule in this series, and Hupperts is maybe he'll get a talking to or a slap on the wrist. I think he's tried to pull that car out for safety reasons, but he's lost that all on his own here towards the end of the race, and he's given up a top 5 finish for the Fusion Racing team.
Yeah, an unfortunate end there to what was becoming a really solid race for him. So they'll obviously regroup. He came out really strong last weekend and at Daytona, and yeah, unfortunate for this one, but hopefully we'll catch him back out. Neil Pearson under a big defensive from Michael Yip. Actually, those two making contact on the exit of the chase.
I feel sorry for Ryan Kolstad. He's had a busy week, and I tell you what, I'll be calling in sick on Monday, tomorrow, to investigate all this. I'll be calling in sick until Friday, mate. That's how many incidents he's got to investigate today.
Yeah, very busy man, and does a fantastic job for this series behind the safety board. So all the best to him. I don't envy being going through those decisions. Well,
there you go. If you're out of annual leave days, I'm writing you, Ryan Kolstad, a sick leave notice. I'll send it to your boss, mate. You'll be all right. He's got a few to investigate from this race for sure. So does the rest of the team behind the scenes. But the race is coming to an end here. We're watching Scott Gamble on screen, who's in 6th. He's been consistent. Very good race from Scott Gamble. Battle for 2nd and 3rd will continue between Alex Court and Joshua Burden. And now, what do you think about that no escape rule, Daniel? We know Nathan Huppert's pulled off the racetrack for safety reasons. If you're race control, do you say rules are rules, or you just give him a slap on the wrist and break the rules a little bit? You got us, Daniel?
Sorry, wrong button. No, I think, look, you traditionally you'd want to still stick with the rules, just to keep fair and consistent ruling across the board. Obviously, understand the reasons why Hupperts would have escaped back there, but yeah, I think the clean, consistent ruling still needs to stand. The big thing I'm really surprised at too is we focus on this battle for 2nd place, just how much Burden, since getting around that car, Justin Ruggier, has been able to close up and gets himself into a really strong position here to challenge for 2nd place.
Nice move. Good job by Joshua Burden in the Fusion Sim Racing car. They could have a second place finish for themselves. Court will still be on the podium, but this will be, I think Nash just crossed the line. This should be the final lap of the race, if I'm not mistaken. So Braden Nash, with one more trip around Mount Panorama, should take the win, but it's all down to Alex Court here, whether or not he wants to settle for the podium or if he's hungry for P2 yet again.
Yeah, knowing Alex, I'm pretty sure he'll continue to fight on for this one. He'll want to get this move done again on Burden. Although looking at the pace, Burden just that little bit quicker, so potentially going to be hard for him. That being said, though, DPR Racing coming on extremely strong throughout the course of this season, and to get their cars up in the podium would be a fantastic run for them.
Here they are through the cutting. They're going to enter the mountain. Now, I remember Lance Stroll, when he finished third, do you remember at Baku, Daniel, a few years ago in 2017, he was passed by Valtteri Bottas across the line, and it was Lance Stroll's first podium, but he did say that, yeah, he was happy with the podium and he was excited, but he was still hungry for P2. I think Alex Court will be saying the same.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, no driver wants to come in. Well, I mean, a podium is a podium, but ideally, if you can get further up, it is always what you want, and these drivers will definitely be aiming for that further through. Although, a little sloppy for Court there, getting down through the S's and the dipper there. That lost him a little bit more time off the back of Burden, and I think he will now need to settle for that third position.
Lost an immense amount of time, but all eyes will be on Braden Nash, who should receive the checkered flag this time out. It's been a thrilling race from Braden Nash. He was involved in an incident, though, and that will be investigated by race control. There's been a few penalties, of course. We'll cover all of those post-race. One of those going to Michael Yip. He's currently in fifth. He's going to have a 30-second penalty post-race. For Braden Nash, we'll put an asterisk on it, but nevertheless, he's going to win the first endurance race for Season 10 of the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Series. The RSR Esports driver is ecstatic with that, as we're still racing here with Matt Morris climbing through the order. Dave Clements in the Ford. He'll be the highest placed Ford, and he'll remain in 7th. Scott Gamble should finish ahead of him in 6th. Now remember, all of these drivers will be promoted one position due to Michael Yip's penalty.
Yeah, really strong results for all these guys coming home. Pat Gallo likewise coming home in that 13th spot. Miles Burgers, so just behind there. Those guys had a fantastic little scrap at the end. Aidan Lithwaite, after all his damage, got home in the 15th spot as well. And Steve Bartholomew is going to come home in the 18th position with Jordan Collis right behind him there.
Good stuff from Bartholomew here down the order. Deserved better than that, didn't Stephen Bartholomew, after he was caught up with that incident with Matt Morris. Tell you what, Matt Morris has climbed up through the order. Oh, no, excuse me, that was Justin Wallace, excuse me. But Matt Morris, don't forget, was involved in another incident, and he's climbed up through the order quite well, too, in the Ferrari. It's good stuff for Morris. For Wallace, he's all the way down in 28th after his incident at Forest Elbow. This is Neil Pearson coming home for the DPR Racing team. One of those drivers on the podium in Alex Court. The other one here of Neil Pearson will claim a good strong haul of points in top split. But we've certainly seen better from Neil Pearson, and he'll be looking forward to next week at Catalunya. And then Martin Crisp here in the Pulse Racing Team car, who made that early pit stop. Don't forget Martin Crisp. He's had to make 2 this race. So eventually, Daniel, he made that second pit stop. But this should be a good time to look at the results, I think, with everyone crossing the line, maybe. We'll wait and see. Has everyone crossed the line?
Yeah, I think we've got everyone home now, and up come those positions.
It's always confusing, isn't it, sometimes on iRacing with that, but it's Braden Nash in the first position. He wins from Joshua Burden, like we said. A good podium for Burden. Alex Court in 3rd. Now, if you're wondering what all the different colors and different numbers of cars, those are just their license numbers. They're all in the same class, but there are different championships for each class. Now, you can identify which class the driver is in by the first number in their license. So the 9 are your highest I-rated drivers, the 1 are your rookies, and the lowest I-rated drivers. So brilliant results down the order for the likes of Shane Best and Ryan Bettis. And those 2 drivers coming home in 11th and 12th in a race to remember, along with Miles Burgess. Aidan Lithwaite, don't forget, in contention for the championship. P15 will be as best as he could hope for in such a chaotic event here today from Mount Panorama. And don't forget the rest of your top 10 up on screen. Lee Vandenberg came home in 9th, a brilliant position. And we scroll through the rest of the order. Martin Crisp in 23rd, like we saw just there at the end of the race. Justin Wallace with his late race incident should have had a top 10. It'll be a race to forget for him. David Miller rounded out your top 25. Nathan Huppets as well should have had a top 5 finish, but he was out of the race late as well. There's Dominic Malit in the Supervac Esports car. He was out of the race along with Ferraris. Ferraris, though, was battling for the lead in comparison to Malit. And Matt McCutcheon, out of the race early in the Fruit Loops racing car. Matt Farah, is race control. I was supposed to look at Thomas Paul there. So the two Fruit Loops racing cars of McCutcheon and Paul out of the race early on the opening lap. So unfortunate for them as we wrap up proceedings here from Mount Panorama. We'll bring you all our post-race interviews in a moment's time. I think it's time to bring in Braden Nash. And Braden Nash, you are Victor confirmed for our endurance, non-endurance event from Mount Panorama. Nevertheless, though, a brilliant race for you. Not without controversy, though, with the track blocked in your battle with Ferraris. That was earlier in the race, and it was something, an incident that you'd just be glad you got out of sort of unscathed with a car that could still make the finish.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. I don't know if my unique line through there kind of caught him off guard, but I did the same thing the lap before, so hopefully it wasn't that. But yeah, for me, lucky the track was actually blocked and no one could get past and could get back to the pits, fix the car and keep going.
I didn't doubt you in a bad way. I just sort of said I doubted you could win the race due to the damage, but I think you proved me wrong in a sense because you dominated the race there on in. Was the damage not that bad after that?
With the fast repairs, no, it's not too bad. Quick repair and off we go.
So there you go. I forgot about the fast repair. Thanks for confirming that.
That's all right.
So what were you going to say after that? You had a good race. Like we talked about, the pace was pretty strong.
Yeah, we came into this race with high expectations. Both me and my teammate, we knew it would be strong. Loved the track. So first, second was our goal. Sadly, couldn't do that for the team, but yeah, it was a really good race for me.
You look towards the championship now. Are you in good contention, do you think, coming out of this race with a good endurance result? Or, we know you're down the order, of course. Did you miss any rounds? I'm having a look at your standings. I think you missed round 3, didn't you?
Yeah, I missed Daytona because of the 24 hours participating in that. But with a drop round, it should bring me back up-ish because I had a bit of a poor result at Le Mans. So see how it goes.
And don't forget as well, you dropped one round for the normal races and one for the endurance races.
Yeah.
Too. So you got another one on offer for Catalonia too next week.
Yes. Hopefully can follow on with the form and get another win.
Yeah. Anybody to thank as well from the RSR Esports team?
Oh yeah. Just want to thank all our sponsors. Abruzzi Racewear, Butt Kicker, long-time sponsor of the team. We've got a couple of new ones, Rosso Sim Racing, G Performance, and I think that's it.
There you go, Braden Nash. Race victor, of course, today in the BMW. We'll leave you to it, mate. Hopefully see you next week on the podium yet again.
Thank you.
In that RSR Esports car. But for now, though, Daniel Leet will be stood alongside Josh Burden, who came home in second for the Fusion Sim Racing team.
Yeah, congratulations, Josh, on a great result, mate. First off, how was it from your point of view? Obviously, coming up 6 points as a result of some of that earlier contact, but you found yourself in a really solid battle with Justin Rugia just after that second safety car. And how was it for yourself?
Yeah, it was a bit hectic at the start there. I don't really know what happened on the first lap, but I dropped back all the way back to 15th on the start, and I just tried to pick my way through. Luckily, I didn't get held up in any of the other incidents. And yeah, at the restart, ended up 5th. My teammate Nathan made it pretty easy for me to have a crack at Justin. So then got up to 2nd. So I was pretty happy with my drive in the end from 15.
No, really solid effort, mate. And I guess once you got to the back of Rugia there, were you taking a little bit of time just to assess where you were a little bit stronger? We know the BMW was very quick around the circuit here tonight. Was there anywhere you felt, other than down Conrad, you might have been able to get a move done easily there?
I felt like the Porsche is probably a little bit better. on the initial exit of the corner. So that's mainly what I was trying to focus on. And then if I got that right, I knew that the rest would take care of itself because the BMW is quite quick at the end of the straight. Took me a couple of laps to get past him, but it wasn't too bad in the end.
And then obviously once you cleared Justin, you're able to get onto the back of Alex, and a fantastic little fight for you to finish out the event, and obviously getting the move done to promote yourself up into second. Looked like he gave you a little bit of a run for your money there, but all in all, it was a good run.
Yeah, that's right. He didn't have a toe in front of him, and obviously I had the toe, so made the run pretty easy. He gave me a bit of room. I thought he probably could have blocked a bit, but he didn't. So I guess thanks to him on that. Pretty happy with finishing second.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Well, off to Catalonia next week. Are we lucky to see you back out on track for that one?
I don't actually own that track, so not sure yet. I'll see what I'm doing on the weekend.
iRacing just told me they were going to fund it to you for free.
I'll settle for that.
Oh, well, come on, iRacing. You heard me. Let's do it. We're on the esports network.
Sounds good. Anyway, Josh, before we let you go, mate, enjoy second position tonight. Was there anyone you'd like to give a shout out and thanks to help you get this one done for Fusion Sim Racing?
Eclipse Signage, Driven Paint Graphics, and Daryl Carter Plastering, and everyone in the thank you.
Fantastic result, mate, and we'll hope to catch you out again throughout the course of the season.
Yep, no doubt. Thank you.
So final interview for the day will be with Alex Court in the DPI racing car. Alex, we got you there.
Yeah, g'day guys, how are we?
Oh, very good. It was, I'll tell you what, it was a very chaotic race for you. How many roadblocks were you stuck in? Definitely the first one at Forest Elbow. I'm not sure where you were during the second one with where Matt Morris was involved.
Yeah, the second one I thankfully got through, so yeah.
It really changed your race, didn't it? Of course, both of them. But I don't think it affected strategy too much, but it did help promote you a few positions. You started 7th, finished 3rd. Yep. Couldn't really ask for much better than that.
No, not at all. To be honest, I was pretty nervous, so yeah.
We were talking about how you lost P2 towards the end of the race and how you would have been hungry to keep second. But at the same time, I mentioned when Lance Stroll scored his first podium in Formula One, how he finished 3rd and he was happy with it, but he just wished Bottas didn't pass him for second. Did you wish the same when Burden passed you towards the end of the race?
Not at all. I was more than happy to leave enough racing room for him. I think, as he said in the interview before, he had the toe. So, yeah, I just gave him room and was happy to keep 3rd place.
And when it comes to those incidents and all the where the track was blocked and everything, we're just watching, by the way, your battle on screen for those watching at home. When it comes to all those roadblock incidents, is it a piece of luck, do you think, that helped you get through unscathed during the second one at least? Or do you think it's a bit of skill, just trying to place your car and judge the incident?
I would say more luck than anything, yeah.
Nothing else?
Nah, just luck. Could have went either way, so yeah.
Anybody you'd like to thank from the DPI racing team?
Firstly, I'd like to thank Sport, Race Spot, Apex, and Southwell Lifts and Hoist, Ben Max Mechanical, and BetSmart Racing Service.
Well, there you go. Alex Court, we'll leave you to it, mate. Hopefully another podium for you at Catalonia in a week's time.
Yeah, no worries. Can I just quickly say a quick shout out to my wife Fiona and our friends from Slovakia, Susanna and Joseph.
They're watching the broadcast right now?
They sure are, yep.
Yeah, I like it. Good on you. Well, welcome to the broadcast, everybody. Alex Court, let's celebrate this one. A podium for him. We'll leave you to it, Alex, this time. But Daniel, good to see Alex Court with a support crew behind him. Probably going wild behind the scenes, I'm sure.
Thanks very much, guys.
Daniel, we head to Catalonia next week, a racetrack that's been very well made by iRacing. It's one of the most beautiful racetracks in sim racing that I've ever seen. Looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll get the full 90 minutes this time.
Yeah, look, I enjoy the Catalonia circuit. I mean, it's been really well put together by all the crew at iRacing. It's going to provide a lot of great battling, especially the long run down the front straight into turn 1 through the S there. We're going to see some really good overtaking opportunities. I guess probably the big thing moving away from Bathurst to Catalonia, the track's a little bit wider, so the guys aren't fighting it with being right up against the walls like we saw tonight through the top of the mountain. But racing all in all around that circuit is going to be absolutely fantastic.
And it's going to be a good race for sure. These GTE machines will be back racing again for the next race, and that will be on the 9th of February. So every Sunday night here for the Aussie Mixed and Fixed GT Series for round 6 around the Circuit de Catalunya. Like we said, it will be 90 minutes of racing action, 2 compulsory pit stops, all broadcasted on Apex Racing TV. Thanks, of course, to all you viewers joining us at home for today's event. From myself, Jonathan Simon, the brilliant Daniel Lead alongside me, and the ever handsome best producer in sim racing, Scott Newton. I said that to Hugo Luis, Scott, as well. So there's a bit of competition between you both now. I gotta sort of, I think I need to pit you two together. I don't know who's going to come out on top. You got 2 awesome producers behind the scenes, and of course our entire Apex Racing TV crew that make this broadcast what it is on screen on not only Apex Racing TV, but the iRacing Esports Network. Don't forget to thank our sponsors and check them out, of course. That's rms55.com.au. That's the race management service. And don't forget to check out Abruzzi Raceware and Simfinity for all sim racing hardware. Our winner today, though, is Braden Nash. He'll be enjoying that for the next week. But we go back to racing again in Spain as we travel north into Europe. So long here from Bathurst.